Good morning or good evening, depending on when you're seeing this video. Welcome to Affirmations. Like, share, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell when you see, uh, so you can know when I post, okay? Basically, going to kind of start introducing uh, this particular deck, talking about archetypes. Yeah, archetypes. I'll put it in the description. And so, what we're going to look at today, they talk a little bit about the card that we got is something called child nature. Child nature. Okay. And what I like about this deck is that they talk about the light, the positive attributes of that, and the negatives called the shadow. Okay. So let's see, are we struggling with these things? Light attribute. This is the positive. Are you a person where you're dealing with friendships with animals, communication with nature spirits, right? Because we don't think about the animals and nature around us having a type of spirit, right? These things are living. Friendship with animals, communication with nature spirits, right? So cute. She has a bunny. Does some of you all have a proclivity for taking care of animals or nurturers? Yeah. And some people so interesting. They're not people, but they're animal people, right? And then you have some people, they're animal people and people, right? But this special gift of people that have a connection with animals. Here's the dark side of that, the shadow attribute: tendency to abuse animals, people, and the environment. This is a tricky one. I always connect this to slavery. Um, because we were looked at as animals. Again, and we always talk about this kind of concept of us being basically the original sex slaves, and so some things we were forced to do even with animals, right? And so also too, when they're diagnosing and they're trying to predict if someone's going to be a criminal or not, one of the first things they look at in childhood: did you abuse animals? And so it's two ways to look at this, okay? Because a lot of these things we have to understand the origins of it. Sometimes we were forced to participate in things. So let's say even growing up, you were around and kind of participate in the abuse of animals. But what you want to look at is children. A lot of times as children, when we're young, we will easily follow. So what you're looking at is, were you a person that did this and then forced other people to join in or coerced people to join in? That is an indication that there were probably some deeper abuse placed in you that you need to get some healing for, or you need to understand, or the anger levels that kind of produce that, or were you kind of a follower? And so again, as children, sometimes we end up participating in things because of peer pressure, feeling uncomfortable, but we don't turn around and continue to do those behaviors. Okay, yeah. Yeah, so and a lot of times if people have a history of abusing animals, then it's an indicator that they may be also insensitive to people and can be physically abusive even. That's definitely a sign of sociopaths, as well as we hear about serial killers and things of this nature. So a lot of these things, again, for our origin, everything will stem from slavery based on things we were exposed to, forced to do, forced to participate in. Again, we're always talking about that master slave dynamic, right? Did we take on that role of master to where now we're an abuser, even of people, places, things? Okay. So this is a kind of short one today, but it's very deep. What we want to do is we want to take a deep breath, inhale, exhale. Right? We do talk about complicated topics. Okay. If you're finding this triggering, again, I always talk about journaling, writing down the things that you feel like contributed to you doing these things. Were you kind of initiator, right? Were you a follower? And if you were a person that kind of went to that behavior, what happened to you that you feel like kind of introduced you to that or drove you to that? Okay. And so that's something that may need to be healed in counseling. Okay. Information in the description box. Okay. On how to find a counselor. Also, too, we always talk about sometimes people with guilt. Sometimes they start feeling like they're not worthy of living. So there's information in the description box about that as well, about how to handle that. If you're having feelings of self-harm, do pass that information on. That is in the description box, okay? Encouraging you all also to get your mental health checkup. There's an email to contact me if anyone's reaching out to you. No, that is not me, okay? And so, with that, we want to just take a deep breath. Inhale, exhale. Okay, we're okay. Okay. But we have to talk about these things so we can heal. Okay. I will end with our statement that I normally start with, right? Death and life is in the power of the tongue, and they that love it shall eat the fruit thereof. Have you been feeding yourself fresh or rotten fruit? Always wanting to mind the self talk that we do, as well as what we speak out loud, speak about others, making sure we're not being malicious or lying on others. Sometimes that can activate reap what you sow. And I'm going to end it with my statement of everyone has a right to heal from trauma, okay? Without interference, without opinions of others, and in privacy, even a race nation. Until next time.